So we've come down to Split Harbour to enjoy the sunshine, but in this episode we're going to update you on contract offers, coaching badges and that vital league form. So it's been a busy old period. Here's news update number 1. We've only gone and bagged our National C licence, taking our first steps up the coaching ladder, and there's more good news. We've been in quite good form in the league, so we thought we'd chance our arm by strolling into the boardroom and just inquiring whether they'd be interested in funding the next course as well. We didn't expect a positive response, but we only went and got one. They decided that they would indeed pay for us to do the National B licence, and the good news keeps on coming because it's only due to take 4 months. If we could have that done by around February time, even if it overruns a little bit because we were never the best in school, we should be able to get the B licence confirmed so that we can then stroll into negotiations with a new club next summer and ask them whether they will pay for us to do our A licence. Then we'll have 3 coaching badges underway, which I think after a season would be good old progress. However, we are already thinking about what's going to happen next year. Llama have come in and made us a 2-year contract offer with a pay rise. But of course, the very nature of this save means that we can't accept it. We're already committed to moving on at the end of the year. However, it does mean that we will miss out on coaching potentially a golden generation in Croatian football. I don't think I've ever seen so many A-grade prospects coming through. Does this mean they're going to be the greatest crop of talent Croatia has ever seen? Or does it just mean that compared to the dross we've got in the squad at the moment, they're at least comparable to that? We do have other news to bring you up to date with as well. We are very much thinking about what our next move might be. In fact, you should let us know down in the comments section when we do leave Croatia, although that won't be for a few episodes' time. Where would you like to see us ending up next? I got this little news item in my inbox, and I did start to salivate. Italiano sacked by Fiorentina. Now I know we're not going to jump straight into a job at Serie A, but this is the goal of the save, to get a job at one of these top leagues and maybe try and take a club to the title in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. Imagine 12 months in Fiorentina, a year in Mönchengladbach, a little soiree maybe in Marseille. This is what we're after in this save, but that's for another day. We've got business to complete with Llama first. So what has form been like since that last episode? Well, good, but I'm still a little bit narky about some of these results. You will remember in our last episode, conceding that late equaliser against CROATIA, even though we should have been home and hosed well before they had the chance to score in the late stages of that game. Well, after that, we went on a little run. We beat Varishdin, who were second in the league at the time. That was a great result for us. And then we won 2-1 in our next game, 3-0 in the game after that, a 2-0 win against Sibalia. And then we've had 2 results that have just left me a little bit grrr, if I'm honest. It really was a case of me playing too late at night, getting a case of one more game fever, when I really should have turned the PC off before these 2 results. We played Yaren, the team who we played on the opening day of the season, and it was a 1-1 draw. It was another one of those games where we couldn't put our chances away, and we let them in to equalise very late on in the game. But the next match was even more frustrating than that. We were playing against a club who were towards the lower half of the table. We should have been 2-0 up, maybe 3-0 up. By the time we had our left back sent off, even after he was dismissed, we had 2 good chances to go on and win the game. And then wouldn't you know it, in the 86th minute, they get one of their only chances of the game. They'd not had a shot in this game until around 70 minutes. They scored in the 86th minute, and we lost our first game, well, in quite some time. All of which means we're still doing well in the league. We have a decent gap at the top of the table. And let's remind ourselves that in terms of our club vision, they only wanted a top half finish in the league. So anywhere from 8th upwards would have sufficed the board. We're top of the table. 3 draws, 2 defeats, but 12 wins. However, we have just had 2 sticky results. We are 9 points clear. In essence, we're actually 10 points clear because Dynamo's second team can't get promoted. They can't play in the same division as their parent club. So we've actually got a 10-point gap down to Leyton Orient 1919, and we've only got 13 games to go, but we have got a couple of sticky games coming up. Let's show you what we're up against. Today we're going to be taking on Solin, 5th in the league. Then we've got Dynamo's second team, so they're going to be good. And then we've got the game against Orient, so we're going to be playing 2nd place and 3rd place in our next 3 games. And today's game against a 5th place club, who we'll give you a scouting update on in a moment, that one is not going to be easy either. Let's show you the squad, let's show you the performances, and then we can have a little chat about whether this is a tactic that's going to get us through to the end of the campaign. So let's start our tour of the squad at the dynamic screen. At the beginning of the campaign, this was terrible. Most of the players were insulted that we were here. Only the backup goalie was pleased that we'd arrived. Fast forward just over half a season and it's looking an awful lot better. Lots of support from the players, including at team leader level, although not from the captain. He couldn't pick me out of a lineup apparently, but that is pleasing. And we've got pleasing performances on the pitch. I've decided that what we're going to do once our time at Długopolia is up is we're going to have a little vote down in the communities tab as to who viewers' favourite player has been from our first campaign. We're going to run a similar vote with every club that we end up leaving, and the winner of that popular vote we are going to track as they move through their career to see whether any of them go on to greatness. And I think the 3 players that have stood out for Długopolia at the halfway point in the season will still be the same 3 that we'll present you with at the end of the season, because we've got 3 absolute great performers. The first is Petar Mikilic, a 21-year-old left-back, unfortunately suspended for today's game. But in 16 appearances, he's got 2 goals, 6 assists, 4 Player of the Match awards, and he's played so well that he's actually leading the division in terms of average rating. He's second there for assists. He's equal top for Player of the Match awards. He is doing well and will be a big miss for today's game. But also doing well is Ivan Chabelic, a player on loan from Hajduk Split, who we play as an inverted winger out there on the left. His average rating is a little bit lower, but he's contributed 4 assists and 5 goals, as well as 2 Player of the Match awards. Another player we could not have done without this season. But the third of our 3 standout stars is Duja Javorcic, another player who I think has been superb. An average rating of 7.22, 4 Player of the Match awards, an assist, I'd like more than 1 from a midfielder, but crucially 7 goals, making him our top scorer, because up front we cannot buy a goal for our strikers. Poor old Mario Chinitsky is still goalless. He's got 1 assist in 15 appearances. This is a guy that started his career at Bayern Munich, yet in the Croatian second division, I'm afraid he cannot find the back of the net. And Ivan Rodic, 36 years old now, is better, but still not a regular goal scorer. 5 goals in 14 appearances. I think he's the player that we're going to give the nod to today, but neither of our strikers are scoring the goals that are going to comfortably get us promoted out of this division. We're relying on our midfield players for that, I'm afraid. We've got to go out there and find another left back as an alternative to Mikilic for today's game. Let's give you the scout report on our opponents, and we'll see you out there for the kickoff. For today's encounter, we make the short trip to the outskirts of Split and the town of Solin, where 24,000 residents cheer on the local side. NK Solin play at the 5,000 capacity Stadion Pokra Yadra, and after a poor start to the season, the club have climbed to 5th in the table, and head coach Tony Gollum will be hoping for another precious 3 points as Solin take on Długopolia. Okay, we are underway, and I think this is going to be a big old game this afternoon, given that we've drawn 1 and lost 1 in our last 2 games, and we've got 2 tricky games coming up after this. A defeat here, and we follow that up with defeats in our next 2 games, Our lead gets wiped out and we are suddenly on the slide, and other teams around us may well catch us. So we could do with a win against Solin this afternoon. We've not looked great in the last 2 games, and it's our Achilles heel of not being able to put away chances and then getting sucker punched like we have done there. Our goalkeeper has come for a ball that he's got nowhere near, and after just 5 minutes we are behind, and it does have a feel of a bit of a poor run coming out here. God, what is our keeper doing? He has been a little reckless in his approach, and we are a goal down early. This is what I was fearing. We need to try and get a result in this game and then dig out a couple of performances in the next 2. Were we to win this game and the next 2, I think we're there. We still have plenty of games left in the season, but I think we'd have a lead that should just about see us over the line. Lose today and lose the next 2, or perhaps just pick up 1 out of 6 points. I think we could be in the decline and in a little bit of trouble, and I would love to celebrate our first season of this journeyman with a promotion, because we have got to, as Rodich heads against the bar, we have got to impress when we're at these clubs, because eventually boards are going to get wise to the fact that we are showing almost no loyalty to the teams that we are managing, and I don't think they'll look too kindly on a manager that changes jobs every year. But if we've got a few promotions on our CV, and eventually if we've got some league titles in some of Europe's perhaps lesser leagues, I think they might just overlook the fact that we don't stay around for a long time. We're just here for a good time. We've clipped the woodwork for a second time now. I would love to see how many times we have hit the bar or the post this season. Got to be in double figures by now, I would say. And we've added 2 to that tally in this game. And we're looking like we are being undone a little bit today. 24 minutes on the clock. Solin are confidently playing the ball around. And they are attacking us down our right with Kovacic. If we were to go a second goal down in this game, I'm starting to question the tactic a little bit, you know. Maybe it's time that I got a tinkering. Maybe teams have figured us out. And that's why we can't get into the leading games, and then we're conceding these sloppy goals. We can't even get the ball off our opponents here, and Perkovic puts them into a 2-0 lead. And I tell you what, we've got to get our thinking caps on here, because I think we are hitting the skids. This will be 3 games without winning, 1 point from the previous 9. This is how bad runs start. And I think we've got a job on even to try and rescue a point from this game. We've got double the XG that they have. We've only had 1 shot on target, though, unfortunately. We've got 1 more opportunity before half-time to try and nurdle our way back in the game. We've got the ball deep in our own half. Here is Rodich. We need to make a little bit more of a penetrating play. Now we've gone forward. We've got our left back up. Here's Basic. He's right-footed, standing in for our 6'5" left back today. But once again, we're going backwards. Now we're in, and that's a clean sight of goal, and it's... Oh, it's another great chance. This time it's Javorcic. It's a great run. He's just got to slot it home. Doesn't do it. And it's an easy header for their defender. And I'm afraid water bottles are going at half-time. 0.75 on the XG. Nothing to show for it. We're going to come out a different side in the second half. I hope. Okay, we clicked an awful lot of buttons at half-time. Whether any of them will make any difference, time is going to tell. Pretty early on, we've gone over the top like Sylvester Stallone. We've asked a 36-year-old to try and run onto it. He's gone absolutely nowhere. Look at this. We've had 2 shots on target to the opposition's 3. They've only had 4 shots in the entire game. These players, honestly, they will not take their chances. We've had the lion's share of the play, I would say. The only 2 efforts our opponents have had seem to have led to goals. We need to score early in this second half, I think. Then anything is possible, and we've sprung in behind them. We've got the ball over. Chabelic has a header. We've got to stop that right now. Let's get into the instructions. Mixed crosses is not going to do. Low crosses is the order of the day. We need to try and get a chance just rolled across the 6-yard box for somebody to fire home. We're going to have to demand more. We've just not got enough coming from the players. They didn't respond that well, by the way, to the water bottle being thrown. I think they've become a little bit pampered. Not sure what Scott's doing with them in training. He's meant to have a level of discipline of 20. They're becoming a little bit unruly, these players. We've got the ball over to our right winger, Burnage, now. He needs to deliver and deliver low. He hasn't. He's ignored the instructions. Rodich gets up. It's not a great chance, though, is it? We shouldn't be losing this game 2-0, but we don't have an XG of 1. We're not doing enough. In fact, we're going to have to change. I think what we're going to do is we're going to sub out our worst performing midfielder, who is Jencic. He's going to come off. We're going to swap him for a second striker. We're going to go 4-2-4, a formation that I cannot stand, but needs must, I think. And we're going to go a little bit more gung-ho. We need a goal in the next 10 minutes. Not looked like it's happening so far in the second half. Javorcic decides to play the ball 40 yards back to his keeper when he's got nobody on him at all. And I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. You know, I can smell a 10-point bottle job a mile off. And this team reeks of it, I would say. Can they prove me wrong? Chernitsky. Well, you know, that's as close as he's come this season. Do you know what? If he was to come good at the end of this campaign and lead us towards promotion, then given where he started, I might declare him player of the club myself. Rodich has got us back. We did say 75 minutes. We've done it before the 70-minute mark. We're back in the game. And it is the width that we try to instill at half-time. This is our fullback. Low cross, good finish. Note to self, that low cross seems to work, and getting the fullbacks higher up seems to be what we need. We now need more of it, though. Back underway, we need a grandstand finish from the boys. 12 shots, 5 on target, the same that they've had on target with 9 efforts. Where is our chance? It's not coming. We're demanding more again. Why have we got all the way to 90 minutes without even creating one effort on goal? We've got all the way to the end of the game, and we didn't create another chance. An XG of 1.23. Granted, their XG snuck up as well, but it is another defeat. And I feel like we've got the yips. I'm embarrassed by that performance. I think we're getting jittery. 10 points clear we were at the start of this game. That could be cut to 7, and we've got 2 very tricky encounters to come. The saving grace is that because they're 2nd and 3rd in the league, they might at least come and attack us a little bit more, which might make them a little bit vulnerable. But we are starting to panic. We're looking now, Orient, I think, they've got a 4-0 win in their game. They are starting to get close. We lose to Dinamo in the next game. It could be 35 plays 39. We lose to Orient in the game after. It could be 38 plays 39. I don't like the look of this whatsoever. What state will we be in when we see you next? Goodness only knows.